Hello everybody. I am glad to have you here again on my YouTube channel. In today's video I will be sharing with you the timeline of COVID-19 in Grenada. The COVID-19 pandemic in Grenada is part of the ongoing global viral pandemic of coronavirus disease 2019, COVID-19, which was confirmed to have reached Grenada on March 22, 2020. Despite lockdowns and social distancing protocols, it appeared to have reached the level of community spread within 1 month. However, cases continued to decline through May, and by June 18, the Ministry of Health declared 0 active cases, indicating Grenada's efforts were successful in ridding the country of the virus. Background: on January 12, 2020, the World Health Organization, WHO, confirmed that a novel coronavirus was the cause of a respiratory illness in a cluster of people in Wuhan City, Hubei Province, China, which was reported to the WHO on December 31, 2019. The case fatality ratio for COVID-19 has been much lower than SARS of 2003, but the transmission has been significantly greater, with a significant total death toll. Like most countries, Grenada had increased screening at the airport in early February and begun sending test samples to Carfa. At 12 a.m. on March 23, the airport was closed to commercial passenger traffic indefinitely, and on June 28 it was announced to remain closed until at least the end of July. March 2020, March 22, the country's first case, patient 0, was announced, a 50-year-old female patient who returned from the United Kingdom on March 16, and subsequently became sick on March 17, and was officially diagnosed on March 21. At 11:59 p.m., the airport was shut down, indefinitely. March 25, 6 more cases announced, 5 female, 1 male, ages 50 to 80, all from patient 0's household. The government institutes policy of restricted movement and nightly curfew. March 28, 2 more cases announced, 2 female, ages 50 to 80, 1 sat nearby patient 0 on the March 16 flight, another had relatives visiting from New York City, arrived March 17. The one who sat near patient 0 on the March 16 flight was a 50-year-old male who became symptomatic on March 26, was tested in Grenada and told to self-quarantine while awaiting the results. Instead, he fled with his family via an Air Canada flight en route back to the UK before the test results were returned, which were a positive diagnosis. March 29, government announces 24-hour curfew for 1 week. April 2020, April 1, 1 new case announced, a 58-year-old male who arrived on a flight from New York City on March 19. April 3, 2 new cases announced. One was a 73-year-old male whose spouse had been diagnosed and announced on March 28, sat near patient 0 on the March 16 flight from the UK. The other patient was a taxi driver who had interacted with a previously diagnosed patient. April 6, government renews curfew/lockdown for another 2 weeks, through April 20. Tests are now being done at St. George's University. April 10, 2 cases announced, all from households of previous cases, total equals 14 positive, 92 tests in total. April 18, government extended the 24-hour curfew for an additional week, through April 27, although with increased exceptions during designated shopping days and expectation of relaxing the curfew after this final curfew period. April 20, case number 15, first potential case of community spread announced by Minister Nicholas Steele, in which an individual had been admitted to the General Hospital and tested positive on the rapid antibody test, confirmed via PCR on 22 April as case number 15. The 45-year-old man initially tested negative via the rapid test, then positive in a subsequent test later on. Several samples were then tested via PCR on island, at St. George's University, and via Carfa, the results of which were indeed positive. April 25, 3 new cases were announced, 2 from the workplace of case number 15 and 1 unrelated. The 2 workers, male, ages 62 and 59, were found through contact tracing. The 3rd case was a 50-year-old female that had arrived on island on March 16, subsequently self-quarantined, and then requested a test on her own initiative, despite not exhibiting any symptoms. This 18th case has raised suspicion as to whether it was actually import-related, 38 days after having arrived, or whether she acquired it in Grenada. 2 of her roommates also tested positive for antibodies, suggesting they had the virus previously and since recovered. These additional cases were not added to the official case tally. April 28, 1 new case announced, another workplace colleague of case number 15. Additionally, 3 new cases recovered, totaling 10 recovered now, 8 active, 1 off-island. April 29, 20th case announced, a 54-year-old female relative of one of the previous workplace cases, along with 3 recoveries of previous cases. This marks 5 workers testing positive from the Caribbean Agro Flour Factory in Tempe, St. George's. May 2020, May 2nd, case number 21 announced, another one from the Tempe factory, related to case number 15, this time a male in his early 20s, the youngest patient yet, and one who was asymptomatic and initially tested negative. 2 rapid tests are typically given over a few days, and this individual tested positive on the second time and then positive with a subsequent PCR test. May 10th, with no additional cases, government announced a relaxation of the curfew in semi-regular business operations starting Monday, May 11th. May 15th, Grenada recorded its 22nd positive COVID-19 patient, an asymptomatic 8-year-old female, the youngest case yet, also related to case number 15. May 25th, a returned cruise ship worker who had been quarantined upon repatriation on May 24th tested positive. Since the case had been quarantined upon arrival, it did not change current reopening efforts, but Minister Steele warned that cases like this will continue as the country opens up, so the main focus is on identifying and containing it each time. June 2020, June 17th, 8 repatriated cruise ship workers tested positive on the antibody test but not PCR. Nonetheless, as with May 25th case, the government appears unwilling to include positive repatriated cases in the country's official tally. June 18th, with no new, local, cases reported in June, those previously diagnosed continued to recover, eventually testing negative on 2 PCR tests, spaced 1 week apart. On June 18th, the Ministry of Health declared there were no active cases remaining in Grenada, as indicated by their continued testing regime. June 28, it was announced that the airport will remain closed until at least the end of July. September 2020, as on 19th of September, Grenada was COVID-free. Total number of cases was 24, all of them recovered. October 2020, as on 4th of October, Grenada was COVID-free. Total number of cases was 24, all of them recovered. As on 14th of October, total number of cases was 25, with 1 active case and the rest recovered. Thank you so much for watching, and do not forget to subscribe for more.